Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. I'm Jenny Norris, your host, and this is a special episode. It's Valentine's week, so I'm wearing my pink fuzzy sweater in honor of all the Valentines out there, my nails. Hope you guys had a great time celebrating those you love in your life. And today's show, we have a special guest, Paloma Harrington, and she is our Global Operations Director for IAHSP. So this show is brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals, of which I am the chairwoman. And every week we bring different guests and topics of interest related to business and success and things that we need to know about and share. And so if you are watching, it is streaming live to both our Home Staging Talk page and our Home Staging Talk group. And so as people come in, if you're commenting live and you want to ask questions, feel free to do that. Please sign your message because it doesn't show us who's asking because it's actually streaming to both platforms versus just one. So with that said, hi, Babu. Nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. So as usual, I like to start the show just by giving some announcements. And first up, I did want to make sure that you all saw our February magazine that came out. I sent out an email to all current IAHSP members. So you should all receive that. And I do appreciate feedback. I did get one person who wrote back and shared how much she enjoyed the content. So hopefully you all are enjoying that. All the past issues, because we started this in November of 2020. So there's the November issue. And then I did January, February, March, April. We did a May, June double. And then we did July, August, I think a double. Then we did September, October, November, and December. Then January, February. So this is our 13th issue. So they're all chock full of really great information from information on business, taxes, who to hire, how to hire. That was one of the issues, like in March, how to make money, to trends, featured interviews. So hopefully they're very interesting to you and you find value in them. And just know that the link, because it is private and it is for members only, the link to access these online in a private portal was shared with you. And then you can also go into the ihosp.com site under the membership access area, and you can search currently under where it says archive. And then there's a link for the magazines, and that'll take you to all the issues. And you can see all the good content that's out there. So make sure you look into that. All right. Of course, our big announcement last week was our conference, wanting to share things that are coming up. So today we're going to touch a little bit on the Portugal conference, which is coming up in May. I'll have Paloma just share a little bit about that. And then next week we have Sonia Radovinovic, who is the IAHSP Europe president. She'll be our guest on the show, and she's going to update us on all the good things that are happening as far as the work that she's doing for that association, all in and around Europe, and all the partnerships that are being cultivated and nurtured along to really support that region. So we just booked our hotel, and it is the Pistana Palace Hotel. You can find out all the good information on their site, but we'll have Paloma share a little bit about that. And then, of course, our conference, the IAHSP Overall Conference, will be in February 2023. So in a year, it will be in New Orleans. So we're coming to the Big Easy. That's our theme, the greatest show. And I spoke last week a little bit on this, that I love that movie, The Greatest Showman. I don't know if you've all seen that. If you haven't, watch it. If you like movies that are true stories, that are inspiring, motivating, I love the music. I love the dancing in it because it is a musical, but it has a really good plot, and all the characters are really, really well cast. So that's, of course, my opinion, but I've watched it over and over and over again. And then the soundtrack, all original songs, and so many of them are so inspiring. And just the messages that thread through about overcoming obstacles, being labeled and judged based on exterior versus interior, how we look versus things that we do, building confidence, finding somebody who's an advocate that believes in you is huge. And that's what P.T. Barnum did for these people that became his family. And so anyway, there's a lot of themes that are parallel to what we experience when we build our businesses, people that don't believe in us, even our own belief in ourselves, and building a business and having success, and even dealing with failure, failing and picking ourselves back up again and moving forward. So not letting things stop us when we have a dream and a goal and a passion. So that is our theme. And then we also have our awards dinner. So no other conference does what we do with our awards gala, except for IAHSP Europe. They're in the family, but we don't just give out awards during the sessions. We don't, to me, it's like make a big deal. It should be a celebration. So we have fun. We're going to do our typical awards dinner and gala. And of course, our theme, because we are in New Orleans, will be a masquerade, Mardi Gras gala and awards dinner. So costumes are encouraged. You could just simply get a really cool mask or something like that. Some people might go to town. Who knows? There might be people dressed up as the characters from The Greatest Show. I don't know. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And so we are about a year out from that event, and it's going to go by fast. And those of you that are, newer, or you have other expenses and so forth, in order to budget for your purchases, whether it's a conference event or a class you want to take or items you want to purchase and so forth, the company Clusivi, Clusivi, we have an arrangement with them, and information has been sent out on that just to kind of introduce you all to it. But it's sort of like a layaway program for being able to purchase things for your business. And there's no credit check. There's no interest fees charged. Basically, if you have a challenge setting money aside where you can't access it readily and use it to pay for something, and then tell yourself, oh, I'll reimburse that next week. And then that never happens. And then you find yourself, a month out from the event, and you don't have the funds to be able to pay for the ticket and the hotel and even the travel. And then you miss out. And that's unfortunate. So if you're able to put a small amount away each month, it becomes much more manageable. And that's our goal. So again, anything for events, classes, even being able to buy stuff wholesale, we have a program set up for that. And even for our vendors to be able to set money aside so that it's not this big bill that comes due. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I had this unexpected thing come up and I haven't saved up for this. So anyway, that is our goal with Clusivi. And hopefully you all got information on that sent to you. And if not, you need to let me know and I'll be happy to share with you. As part of our conference, we will be doing the advanced stager training. It always follows the 2 days following the conference. So if the conference is I think it's the 24th, 25th, and 26th of February, the next 2 days would be the advanced stager training. And this is for 6-figure and above staging company owners. And because some of the issues that we deal with in that realm are things that newer people aren't in, doing and having to deal with at that point. And eventually they'll get there if that's their goal. And so the topics at our conference are always geared towards beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. We have breakout sessions. However, we're able to really delve into things in the advanced stager training. And it's not somebody up speaking at a group. It's very interactive, lots of questions answered, workshop type setting. And the goal is to come out of that with an understanding of either validating what you're doing in your process, learning something new that can help you better your process, and getting you to that next level for your business growth. So we'll be sending that information out, in the next couple of months in order for people to register for the advanced stager training. All right. I shared all this stuff last week, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring Paloma on. Paloma should give you a countdown, hopefully.
I'm live.
Good morning.
Good morning to you and good evening to anyone on my side of the pond.
Yeah, well, for people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself and share everything that kind of your whole background, because it's quite impressive.
Oh, well, wow. Okay, thank you. Coming from you, it means a lot. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Paloma Harrington. I am based in London. Let's start locally. So I'm the founder of the Home Staging Association UK and Ireland. I am also the vice president of the European IAHSP. And most recently, right, Jenny, I'm the global director of operations for IAHSP International. Apart from that, going to the Americas, I'm also the founder or co-founder, I should say. I have someone else there also helping me with that, of the home staging Brazilian school called Núcleo de Home Staging. And yeah, I think the sky is the limit when it comes to home stage. You just keep doing things, right?
And you're definitely like a people doer, kind of like me. You know, we have a hard time sitting still, so I know the wheels are always turning. And the HSA UK, you've built that the last, what is it? It's about 4 years old now.
Yeah, it'll be 4 years in April, which is very exciting. It flies by, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think ever since we founded that here, we've seen such a massive difference when it comes to home staging being recognized and more people really understanding what it is. And when I say more people, I mean mainly obviously real estate agents, or what you would call the realtors, property developers, but also most recently with one of the actions that we did here last year, which was the Home Staging magazine and also the Home Staging report. We managed to reach out to a wider audience of homeowners as well. So now everyone is kind of like really understanding, oh, okay, so it's not only wealthy people that can do home staging. I can do that. Mr. John Smith and Jane Doe, they now understand that they can do that as well. So yeah, it's been quite an exciting journey. And I think throughout the whole of Europe, things are changing and taking a really interesting turn in that sense, that more and more people are being aware of how beneficial it is, and more people are using home staging. So that's really exciting.
It is really exciting. And you guys are really on, and I mean, by say you guys, I mean you and Sonia and Verena, who run the IAHSP Europe Association, really on sort of a lot of these areas, kind of the ground floor of really getting the exposure for staging and the awareness. HSA UK is a great association, and she's really done a great job growing that. In addition to her roles with associations and so forth, she's also trained as an educator for home staging courses through Staged Homes, and has taught in Europe, and is now, we're going to talk about a couple of things, but bringing it over to Brazil. So I asked Paloma to be on the show because I want her to share her what's happening around the globe with her role as a Global Operations Director. Excellent person to have in that role, because there's only so much one person can do. And because Europe is like a big melting pot and the countries aren't necessarily huge, they're all sort of interconnected. So having somebody who lives over there, who was willing to kind of take up the torch and really help to grow our association, is really beneficial. So we'll start there. Let's talk about what have you been working on since November, when we kind of started?
Oh my God, well, what haven't I been working on? I think you touched on something very, very important there, Jenny, because as home staging grows worldwide, we see as association and as people that have been really involved in everything staging, especially you for such a long time, we see how easy it is for things to get slightly sidetracked and people start doing their own thing, or sometimes they don't really know where to turn to for support and guidance when it comes to educational standards or professional standards, or literally anything that has to do with staging, from the technique side to the more educational and hands-on side of things. And I think that's why it's so important for us to be really involved as an association, but not only in our own area. And I think that's why we decided to really push forward with this project of this global mindset, because as staging grows so much, we want to make sure that everyone has the same educational standards, the same professional standards, and that anyone that is somehow involved with IAHSP, whether it's in the States, in Canada, in Australia, in Brazil, in Poland, in Russia, in Italy, wherever that is, we can rest assured that they will be ethical, that they have the right knowledge, that they have the right education, that they are business driven, that it's just not just a hobby, because we do know that we have all of these professional standards that we really require when someone is looking to join the association. And the only way to do that is by having this global mindset and really try and stay close to everyone that's working with home staging around the world. And being in Europe, well, technically in Europe, I'm in London, but that's a conversation for another time. But let's say, geographically speaking, being where I am, I think it's very, very beneficial and very helpful, because I'm right at the center of where everything is happening. And because of my work with HSA and with IAHSP Europe, so many people were reaching out to me via the association, or just, the community in general, asking, okay, which course should we do? Or I want to start my own home staging community in my country. Or how should I go about staging this sort of property? Or how much should I charge for this sort of project? And you start seeing that at the end of the day, everyone, no matter where they are, they have the same questions.
They do.
Right? We all go through all of the same challenges when it comes to our businesses and growing it, and also personal and professional development. So with this initiative that we've got now with the global role, it really allows us to be more supportive of everyone that's looking for ways of growing their businesses, or really just getting closer and being connected with like-minded professionals, because you know this a lot more than I do, Jenny, for all the work you've been doing, how important it is for you to be surrounded by like-minded people, by people that do the same thing that you do. It can get really lonely in home staging, right? Because
and I feel like as much as Europe is behind in some regards to the awareness of home staging and realtors or estate agents utilizing it, but you guys have an opportunity to take a look at what occurred in North America as far as how it expanded and make changes. And so probably the biggest one is that there is no required pathway to get into home staging. And looking back at the time when it was founded and so forth, it would have been great had there been some way to set that up, that an interior designer, to call themselves an interior designer, they have to go through classes, they have to pass a test, they have to be, have licensing board and so forth. And we don't have that for staging here. But I do know in Europe, the countries do have that ability. They can get certified at the country level. They can get approval by the governments, which is huge, because then what that does is it sets up the precedence that you do have to have education, that it is a professional business, not a hobby, not something somebody can watch television and then proclaim themselves a stager. And so I don't know that we'll ever make it past that here. I think what we're doing is separating the professional stager from the hobbyist, or the ones that don't have the proper foundation for business success, education, and so forth. And it's not that, people that haven't gone that route aren't talented and can't figure it out. But I really feel like we really missed an opportunity here in the US and in Canada and North America in general to provide that guidance. And you guys have that opportunity to do it. And I'm going to say this correctly, because I feel like staging is a viable business. It's not just a fly-by-night thing. And there are certain principles and guidelines that we do want to have people following. And if we were all doing things consistently, I mean, it would really make a huge impact positively for the business. So I applaud you guys for making this happen over in Europe, because we're all watching and wish we could go back in time, but you can't. So,
but hey, it might start a precedent at the end of the day if we do manage to develop something like that over here. Nothing stops us from trying to do something similar elsewhere. I think it's about finding creative solutions.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the stagers over in Europe tend to come from, they are designers or architects largely, and also in other countries. Versus on our in our country, it's you can name any kind of profession, and I can tell you, yeah, they've become a stager. It could be an attorney, a doctor, a teacher, a nurse, a stay-at-home mom. It could be somebody who worked in IT. It could be somebody who worked in some creative field. You name the industry and the job that somebody had, and we could find a stager that was like, oh yeah, I used to do that. Versus in Europe, largely it is the designers and the architects that then find themselves going into staging.
Yeah, they usually do as obviously as an added service, because it's such a turnkey solution. I think even for professionals that already have an interiors background, they want to have something quicker to offer to their clients, and obviously it is more budget if you're comparing to a year-long sort of interior design project. But I think after the pandemic, especially, we've seen quite a few people that have decided to follow their dream career and find something new to do, or even a side hustle, depending on what the situation is. So many people lost their jobs or had to find creative ways of doing something different. And so I know that from the UK perspective, UK and I think a little bit of Ireland as well, we have seen a massive influx of people that have decided to change careers and are looking into home staging as an option, which I think is really exciting, as long as we obviously keep on tapping on how important education is. I've had a situation just in the beginning of the pandemic. Someone came to me and said on Facebook, they said, "Oh, Paloma, do you know any photography course? I want to learn how to take really good shots of my projects." I said, "Well, you can talk to this person, that person." But why? Now, I'm always trying to find out more about why people ask the question that they ask, because we can always find different ways of helping.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, because I'm starting a home staging business and I'm going to learn home staging on YouTube via YouTube videos. But photography, I can't really do that via YouTube videos. I need someone to show me how to use the camera. So I'm going to do a course for that." Needless to say, I went mental.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. I mean, obviously, there's so many YouTube and other sorts of like resources that videos that people can turn to, but I think there's always something to complement their studies for them to know what's new, or to maybe look at whatever a brand or an influencer, or what they're doing, or techniques, or whatever it is.
It's also just credentials mean something to the public, and they mean something to the clients. We think, can you imagine? I go, well, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and I'm a home stager, but I did it watching a bunch of YouTube videos versus being able to say, I took a course, I got accredited, I invested in my education, I belong to the largest world association, and I've continued adding to my education with these niche specialties. And, it just sounds much more impressive. But not only that, I know I could have figured out how to stage a house, right? I knew how to decorate and so forth, but the business side is really what people need to learn. And people think it's just all about moving stuff around in a house, and that's a part of it. But more than that, it's, most people hopefully enter the home staging industry with the intent of having a successful business. And if you're not learning how to set up your business, how to price your services, that's a huge one. There's lots of classes that don't teach that specifically for your market, how much to charge, and people guess. And, somebody made $20 an hour, which is $40,000 a year, let's say, or even $40 an hour, that's $80,000 a year. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to start staging. I'm going to give myself a raise. Let's see, I'll charge $60 an hour, not realizing your market supports 125 or 175, and you leave all this money on the table and you drive the market down because you didn't know better. And that to me is such a shame. And that's why people need to invest in their education. I mean, I can watch a video on fixing my car, right? Doesn't mean I'm an experienced mechanic.
Yeah, and would you though? I mean, you would never really risk your life like that, would you?
or I get on an airplane. The pilot's like, well, I watched a YouTube video on how to fly this plane. Or I read a book.
I read a book. Yeah.
I'd be like, running down that thing, like take my luggage off that plane. No, I wouldn't do that. And so,
yeah,
what we do is not complicated, but it is a business, and there's a process, and the foundation is so important. We get rid of the word try. We teach our classes, get rid of the word try. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. You make a decision. So from the very beginning, knowing that this is what I'm going to do, and I want to be as successful as possible. And there's all these tools that are out there. And I think the only reason people don't take classes is the cheap mindset. They want to try to get something for free. And as you know, my mantra is there's no value in free. And anything that's put out there on, these different videos and so forth, there's always a teaser, a way for whoever put that out there to get additional business in some realm, whether they're going to coach you or something, but it's never just out there just so that, they can devalue the whole industry. So, and they never give 100% of the information away. So you're missing a big chunk of that. Even if you watch a video, there's big parts of that you're not getting. And that's going to prolong your success journey and make it a lot more painful.
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's you think that you're taking advantage of the situation, but at the end of the day, you're just fooling yourself and not making the most of that opportunity and the time that you're investing in that. As you said, you could be charging 20 or 60 an hour, thinking that, oh my God, I'm woohoo,
Yeah.
But you could actually be charging twice as much if
easily.
if you had taken the course to do that. Or even when it comes to techniques and the projects themselves, I mean, sometimes you're using the wrong size rug, or hanging your pictures too high or too low, or not really knowing how to stage a certain type of size of property.
Or people call staging like big. I mean, I just had pictures I posted online, but it was pretty much thrift store furniture, and these pictures that were hung that were like way too small. They weren't to scale. And the idea that people consider that staged, it's not. I mean, you put stuff in there, but it's not professionally staged, and it definitely makes a difference. I just had a client tell me that we staged a property, got over 10 offers. within 2 weeks, we're actually picking up. And he said, I know that what we did was a big part of that, but he said, but I know that what you did was a huge part of that. And I said, I would love a testimonial on my Google. Give me a 5-star review, because that matters. You know, you have to ask for those things. But let's talk about what countries are we seeing that are on the grow, and you know, for those of you that are watching from other countries, if you don't have an association, there's power in numbers. And there's camaraderie in numbers. And having been the first stager when I first got started in my particular city, which was Sacramento, California, there were no other stagers. It was lonely. And then as people kind of came on, I didn't look at them as competition, because word got out and there's no way that I could physically stage every single house. And so we started banding together, and I had the idea to have a chapter. So I thought we could get people together, we could pool money, we could do some joint marketing, we could do some events together, we can learn from each other in a spirit of camaraderie, not competition, and cooperation. And so that is really the idea of the industry, is that you're not alone. There are a lot of social media groups that you can join, you know, Facebook groups and so forth, but there's nothing like having somebody in your particular region. You can share projects, you can bounce ideas of each other. I got sick once for like 3 weeks. I wasn't able to be out in the field. And so being able to have a colleague pick up and be able to keep things going for you, whether it's a formal partnership or just somebody that you know and trust, that's so important. So
yeah, and just exchanging ideas really about business and the market, or is Noop a supplier or a client or anything? It's always beneficial. So yeah, countries that are growing. So from a European perspective, we've got Poland. Poland is an emerging market that's growing so fast, and I know that we've got quite a few key players that we'll be hearing about a lot more about them very, very soon. But they've been organizing quite a few online events. They've been very successful, and it's booming. And it's quite interesting, just a side note from the whole European perspective. We see that each country has their own way of addressing staging, and the goals of staging are obviously the same, but there's so many different techniques and things that agents and developers expect to see and what really sells. So we should do a show just on that, Jenny.
I know, like the fruit displays that are in some countries.
The fruit and the croissants. There are croissants everywhere. I mean,
yeah, like the faux food, and it's not that you can't, like, well, we will put like apples in a bowl or pears. Back in the day, I used like the grapes with the wine glasses, and you had like the different things, and that is subjective. But some countries really emphasize that. They use a lot of it.
They really go for it.
Yeah. And those of you watching, you need to know, Paloma, so you are Polish, you were raised in Brazil, but live in the UK. So language wise, it's also a total plus that you speak multiple languages.
Kind of helps. Yeah. But I think it's important to have that international mindset, because sometimes it can be very judgmental, like, no croissants on the tray on the bed. That doesn't work like that. No, you have to be more open-minded, really, to say, okay, there are some techniques that obviously we have to, be quite strict about, because they are the things that we know work. But there's also the cultural aspect behind all of these things that we need to be very mindful of. So yeah, Poland is growing. We also have quite a few, some amazing staging projects popping up in Hungary as well. In fact, we've had one of the IAHSP members, two of them actually, Veronica and Rekka, they just wrote a book about how to use home staging, not necessarily teaching how to do home staging. So I think that's also a very interesting angle to promote and educate people about the benefits of staging. Russia as well, they just started an association in Russia, which is going to become an affiliate of the European Association. We're just on the way of formalizing all of that. But people are so thirsty for home staging information in Russia, and it's just so exciting to see how fast it's growing as well. And Europe-wise, I think we're all very well set when it comes to, say, Italy and Spain, Portugal. We also have a new association in Portugal that's growing really fast, and it's really exciting because we're having the conference in Portugal, and literally just this year we had the Portuguese Association becoming an affiliate of the European Association as well. So right at the right time. So that's really exciting to see how so many people are getting into staging and creating these communities. They're very supportive of all the professionals and of one another, and really carrying the flag of home staging, really promoting the activity and showing how beneficial it is, and establishing those relationships with real estate agents and developers and other professional bodies that can work really well together. So yeah, Europe
And
is
then
just like exploding.
Europe, yeah, and then we have had I know South Africa, we have Australia, New Zealand. That one is really taking off because we have the home staging professionals group. People will request to join, and I do ask them like where are they from, or I'll take a look.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if it says NZ, I'm like, okay, that's New Zealand, their email address. But those that part of the world too, and so I know you're working with those countries and Japan.
Yes, and Japan. Yeah. So I actually had a really interesting meeting. When was it? Just yesterday, with some people in South Africa, and they're going through lots of challenges to put the word out there and to really persuade people about the value of home staging. But they feel it's the right time to get together. They have a group of people, and that's exactly what the global role and the global mindset is all about. These people, they saw, okay, we've got this group of stages, we want to educate people about what it is so we can be more recognized, get more credibility, and obviously get more jobs. So what do we do? So they reached out to you and then to me, right, Jenny Lindy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, now they're going to start a chapter there. So I think that's absolutely fantastic, because they will be portrayed as an institution, as a body, really. And so whenever they call an estate agent, they can say, well, I am part of the chapter, the home staging chapter. So it's a completely different game, right? You're taking more seriously, and it really helps to push things forwards and to be taken more seriously and be more recognized. So South Africa is growing like that, mm-hmm. which is very exciting. There's also New Zealand. The thing with New Zealand, I think, is very similar to what I see in Brazil and Australia as well. These large, massive countries, it's so difficult for people to get together, and that's why it's so important to establish this go-to places that the chapters will be, because otherwise people they get lonely and they start
flounder.
Yeah, and I think industry-wise, activity-wise, it's very tricky, because one person will be charging X here, another one will be charging completely different someplace else, even though it is very similar in terms of offering, or even geographically speaking, or business model wise. So the more people connect, the stronger we are as an activity, as an industry. So I think it's highly important.
Yeah, and I also think the issues that we all deal with, because we all have challenges, and I talked about this last week, how a lot of people, they don't publicly put out every single challenge we go through, because then, it's like, just people, it's like, wah, wah, and like all your ambulance, we were watching that show, like you're whining all the time, wah, wah. But the fact is, we all do go through challenges, and we need to have people that we can go to that have been there. I have 20 years in, I've seen a lot of things, and there's still sometimes things that surprise me that happen, and being able to know that I'm not the only person in the world going through it. It's actually a normal part of what you can experience or learn from. Experience this thing. This is how to avoid that, so you don't go through that same situation. All of that is open discussion, and you don't feel like you're alone, because, if you have a situation with a client or a project that goes haywire to the point where you start questioning whether or not I should even be in the industry, because I'm not getting the success I want. Gosh, this is a lot harder than I thought. And you're struggling. Then people just go, well, I'll just go back to what I did before. They go on to something else. And we want people to stick in the industry, because as the awareness of staging grows in all of these countries, the demand for stagers will increase as well. And if there's no stagers to support the need, it's sort of not a great situation. And so know that whatever challenge that you've had, there's probably somebody or multiple people that have been through the exact same thing and can help guide you through it, or just give you encouragement that, what you experienced, it wasn't pleasant, but you know what, I experienced that same thing. It's actually a normal thing that
100%. Yeah. And I think, especially nowadays, just a side note, with all of the social media and all of that, we always see people, super happy with their beautiful projects, like all delivered, they're looking amazing, glamorous, like magazine ready.
Right.
but we don't know what goes on in the backstage, you know? And I
Right.
think that's why it's important to share
Yeah.
these things. Even you, Jen, you're always sharing your stories on the groups. And I just find it fascinating how detailed you are. Sometimes you really tell everything. I'm like, oh my God, even Jenny goes through all of these things. So if Jenny's going through that, I mean,
Yeah.
me, I'm happy to
And
know that I'm going through the same struggles as well. 'Cause like everyone goes through those
right.
things, you know?
It's normal, and usually the struggles relate to, I'll generalize it here, but education and communication. It's either something that I didn't share that I probably should have, or something that I shared in the wrong way or was received wrong, or the perception. So it's usually a communication issue, and that's why my staging agreement, for example, every time we have a situation that doesn't go as planned, it becomes a point in the staging agreement so that I avoid it in the future. So you use it as a lesson, you put it in there, but
How many pages does your agreement
it's only
have?
actually 2 pages, believe it or not. But the writing,
No.
there's like probably 14 or 15 of these, intense parameters. Like, for example, here, it's wintertime. People will winterize their house because it's vacant. So that means the plumbing doesn't work. The heat's down to like 40 degrees or, 50s, freezing cold. And we can't even use the restroom. So that has become, the plumbing must be working and the heat must be on because we can't work in the conditions like, especially if the house is remote and I got to go to the bathroom. We've actually had to go get water bottles, fill the tank, use the rest of the toilet.
All the glamour.
Just little things like that. But I am excited for the growth around the world. And Brazil, out of South America, that's the country that I think is the fastest growing for home staging memberships. And we have members in Argentina, Peru, Mexico City, and so forth. But that one really is on the grow, and you're a big part of that. So
oh yeah, yeah.
Doing there coming up.
Yeah, no, I think the whole idea with Brazil was even before the whole global thing took place. It was something that, having been so involved with home staging here in Europe, I saw things starting to happen in Brazil, and I was like, okay, now is the time to really help people with guiding them through it and really shaping the industry in a way to kind of avoid those mistakes that we see. Well, not mistakes, but things that we know could have been done differently, say in the States and here in the UK. So I thought, okay, now that I've got that sort of outlook, it would be nice to just help and serve and to make sure that those mistakes can be avoided, and making sure that the activity really flows and is developed in a sustainable, ethical, and very professional way, really. So when I saw that things were kind of moving in that direction, I was like, okay, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to start something that really help people. And it's been quite a journey. Well, we started that just prior to the pandemic. So I think we officially founded that saying February, and then March, the pandemic hit. So we did lots of online activities, obviously, and the community has grown a lot since then. We offer support and courses and online events as such, and it's been amazing. And you wouldn't believe the number of people that have been really starting their businesses or working as consultants for other businesses, or real estate agents that are really picking up on the idea. So it has really been growing the way that I envisioned it to. And then there's lots of work to be done, obviously, but it's going really well. And on that note, we're actually organizing the very first home staging event of Brazil. We're calling it the meetup. And it's going to take place in March. And as a consequence of that, I've also been called to speak at another event. It's only real estate agents focused, which is also going to take place in March. So I'm basically going to Brazil in March and spending the whole month there. I wish I could.
So I just put up on the screen. So the one on the right is the class that's being taught in Brazil.
Yes.
And it helps that, of course, you speak the language. That's where, there's steps that anybody who wants to, get started in home staging, that can be taught that, and that, shared and encouraged and, supported along the way. And then, classes and so forth. But the language barrier becomes a big thing. And so the fact that you do speak Portuguese and the Brazilian version, not the Portugal, because I know that's different.
Brazilian Portuguese.
So it's like I learned the, Spanish, but mine is not the Castilian Spain Spanish.
Oh,
Mine is what they would call, I guess, the dirty Spanish, because it was California is where I learned it
Yeah.
until Mexico. So we have the class here on the bottom, and then on the left is the event where you are going to be talking to your panelist.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we've got our own event, our own school event on the 11th March, which will be a gathering for home staging professionals. Then on the 12th and 13th, we're teaching the ASP course. So anyone in Brazil that's watching wants to get accredited and certified by the IAHSP, this is an unmissable opportunity. And I think that's why it's so important, right, Jenny, that we are giving people the opportunity to, from the very beginning of the industry in Brazil, they can become one of the very few accredited professionals. I think that makes such a massive difference for not only their businesses and themselves professionally, but their marketing. I mean, that's just beyond amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think people sometimes think like, oh, a staging course, they're going to teach me how to be a stager. To me, it's a God-given talent. You can see things, and there's certain things you can learn as far as process. My face is frozen. I don't know. Can you still hear me, Paloma?
I can hear you fine, yeah, but your face is frozen, but hopefully you'll come back.
It's a terrible look also. What is happening with my computer? But it's the business foundation and the marketing. There we go.
You're back.
All right.
Yeah.
So the business foundation, the marketing, that's really what the classes are about. And it's also, how do you get the business? Why would a realtor or an estate agent want to hire you, or an investor? How do you go after their business? What do you say? And then the process, it's not the same as decorating and design. That's one of the first things that we go over, and you'll take the class and you'll learn that. So I think it's super important to have a solid foundation. I'm excited.
Absolutely. No, it's so exciting. And I'll obviously be sharing information about it. And whilst we are there working on it, I'll be feeding with information as well, because it's a very exciting time for Brazilian home staging in Brazil. I know that people are really thirsty for information there as well. They really want to push things forward. There's still a bit of a barrier when it comes to suppliers, for example. There's not really there aren't really many suppliers that rent furniture, or that you can buy more affordable pieces as you find in the States or here in Europe. But it's okay, because people are very creative, and I know it's just a matter of time for these things to start appearing. There are a handful, but we still need more over there. And I feel it's the same thing, say, for South Africa. It's not really that different, say, in Japan. They do have lots of suppliers, etc. But home staging there has a different outlook. They're very focused on occupied and not necessarily the vacants or the show apartments, which is slightly changing as well. And that's kind of part of the work that we'll be doing there with the global role as well. So worldwide, there's so much happening. But I think
lots of opportunity.
Oh my goodness.
Huge opportunity. And even like the person, Babu, who came in, this person's from India. And I mean, that's the second. There's another person that had reached out when I was at the Vegas market. They were interested in helping get established in that country. That's a huge country. We've even have somebody that could help with China if that's something, or just maybe we don't go to I know the whole government part of it that would be difficult, but there's such a need. And being able to know that there's someone out there and an organization, IHOSP, and then your role, being able to say, yes, we are, basically you're willing to take them under the wing and provide guidance. And in exchange, they get to be part of a reputable association. There's resources they receive. And we're there to help support them in their growth. Yeah.
And I think making the most of over 2 decades experience, right, Jenny, that you guys have under the IHOSP wing, that under the IHOSP umbrella, because at the end of the day, just we were talking about the mistakes and things that we should and could avoid when transferring the activity into one country from the other country, etc. That goes for associations as well. That goes for chapters or just communities overall, because it takes a lot of work, doesn't it? But we know how to do it. We've done it over and over again, and you've been doing this for such a long time. So why not count on the support of someone that already knows how to do it and can make your life a lot easier, so you can focus on the actual staging and promoting of staging and connecting with professionals, just becoming a better professional, better business.
Yeah. And I feel like, those of you that are watching, Paloma and her, I'll say your generation, because you and Sonia are, I think you're younger than Sonia. Sonia is a lot younger than I am. Verena is a little older than I am. So, but you have these generations that are part of the leadership. And it's the old, 80-20 rule, or I might even say the 90-10. So 10% of the industry steps up and is willing to dedicate time and energy and focus into helping other people. And I'm just going to say there's not a big paycheck behind any of this. Those people watching, it's like there's not this buckets of money that are coming to me or to Paloma or to Sonia at all. Hours and hours that are put in. And the reason that we do it is because we love the industry. And so we have to identify other people that have that same mindset, that it's not just a job or a means to an end. This is a passion of mine, and the industry needs to stay viable. And if we can help other people be able to find their way, so if you're part of a chapter or an association, find ways to contribute. It doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. It could be just a couple hours here and there, but give back and be willing to serve others. It could just be like, hey, man, why don't you coordinate the meeting this month? Or, hey, can you help find a speaker for a topic or something, so the burden doesn't just lay on a handful of people that everybody else expects to make it all happen, and then are upset when that person maybe has a life challenge or something that takes them out of pocket, and then the whole thing falls apart. And that shouldn't happen, because there should be other people willing, this is my opinion, other people willing to step in and bridge that gap. And we have to identify who those people are. So if you're out there and you're like, hey, I love serving other people or helping, I love the industry, put it in the chat message, or write to Paloma, write to myself, email us, and we'll get you plugged in. We don't want to suck your time away from what you're doing, building your business, but we have to have both in order to have a future.
Absolutely. And I think that some people think, oh, I don't really have the time to do all of this, but you don't have to do much. You don't have to change the world. Sometimes all you need to do is just change someone else's day, as you said, just helping to organize a meeting or to do something very little. You don't have to. Sometimes you get frozen by the, oh my gosh, I can't do all of that, I can't change the world. But it doesn't take much, honestly, and it really can make a difference.
A willingness. And I kind of liken it to, this is sort of I don't know if this is a great analogy, but parties. People like to host and entertain. There's definitely people who love entertaining and love having people over and don't mind cooking and the cleaning and the mess and so forth. And then there's definitely people that don't like doing it because they don't want all these people traipsing and they don't want to have to clean up, but they have no problem going to the party and having fun, but they get to walk out the door and go, bye. And then you're left with all the, the dirty dishes and stuff. That's kind of what I look at it too. It's like there's a handful of people that are willing to do the dishes and other people that just want to walk out the door after having a great time at the party. And it doesn't make these people that walk out the door bad people, but I think there needs to be more awareness that, it would be helpful if everybody, kind of pitched in a little bit and contributed, so that the overall load isn't on just a handful of people who have been willing to step up and serve. And so.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we all benefit from it, right? As an industry, as you said, if we keep on making it viable, we're all going to benefit from it, because we'll get more partners, we'll get more jobs, we'll get more visibility, more credibility. So it's a cycle, isn't it? I can see Sonia saying IAHSP covers all age gaps.
All generations. It does. And and I think there's relationships that we're working on. There's a company that IAHSP Europe actually introduced, to IAHSP International. And through that arrangement, there's huge opportunities that are coming back and forth. So it's not one side taking, and, it needs to be a give and take, no matter what you're in. If you're in a regional chapter, it's a give and take. If you're part of an organization, it's a give and take. And so as much as we've supported IAHSP Europe, they are, and we'll learn more about this next week with Sonia, but there's some really great opportunities that have come as a result of the relationships you guys have cultivated that are not going to benefit everybody around the world who meets the criteria in order to participate. And there will be criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Put that out there.
We're really good at that.
For anybody, it's like they're going to have to qualify in order to participate, because the benefit is so huge for this particular relationship. But I just am so happy and appreciative of what you are doing for IAHSP and your global role, because I certainly don't have the time or focus to be able to do what you've been doing. And you are younger than I am, so you have a lot of energy, and I have some distractions that I do my best to minimize, but I just am so appreciative, and I'm excited to see how it's marching along and the progress you're making, because I feel like we're on the cusp of really busting out. Not only in Europe with all the things you guys have been laying the foundation for, but also just globally, and to be able to have a structure and guidelines that people can plug into. Why would people want to just recreate the wheel? Plug into something that's existing, that works, that's proven, that's professional, and have an easier journey.
Absolutely. And it's such an exciting time. I'm so excited to be doing this, and I'm literally doing one of my dream jobs with this role, because I get to talk to people from all over the world and really help them and guide them through all of the process and just connect. It's such a magical experience to be able to connect with all of these home stages all around the world, from Brazil to Japan, from the States to South Africa, everywhere in Europe. So it's fantastic. And guys, if you're in India, if you're in Dubai, oh yeah, there's been talks about Dubai as well, Jenny. We need to talk about that.
Okay.
There's so much going on, so many places. So if you're somewhere, anywhere that we haven't mentioned, or even if we have mentioned, we can connect with people in that area. But do reach out. We are here to help and guide in making sure, just to make sure really that you make the most of your journey throughout this home staging world, whether it is looking for education or wanting to start your own community or chapter, or maybe you don't know what is it that you need. You just know that you want to connect with us. So we're here, right, Jenny? We're here, super available and super receptive. We really just want to connect with everyone and see how it can be of service, because that's what we do, right?
And you don't have to have your own country, association or chapter. You can just plug into IAHSP Europe and get that support as well. So we've had people from Greece and other countries that maybe they don't have their own group there, but tap into a larger group and network and develop camaraderie. And I can see, as the world opens up again, that travel places, being able to go in person and meet, and because there's nothing like the face-to-face, which kind of circles us back to the European conference at the end of May. What a great opportunity to come and meet people from all over the world. I mean, I was 2018 was so amazing. It was the first time a lot of these people from these different countries had met each other that were home stagers and under the IAHSP Europe umbrella. But the camaraderie and the friendships, being able
family. We're a family at the end of the day. Yeah. And you're going to be talking about the conference with Sonia next week.
I will. Yes, we'll go.
Oh my God, can't wait to see that. Yes. I'll be here watching as well.
Good. Well, our time is up, and I saw I don't. How would I say her name? Elvira.
Zwolinska.
Dzień dobry, Elvira. That's funny. I can say dzień dobry, daj mi buziak. I think I'm even saying that wrong. Give me a kiss. I can say like milk, bread, and cheese. I can say a few things in Polish. I'd love to go there. Yeah.
Hey, when you come for the conference, maybe we can stretch and go to Poland for a couple of days. That wouldn't be a bad idea, would it?
Yeah, I haven't been there.
Fantastic.
It's been over 30 years since I was there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think it's time for a visit. Yeah.
I would love that. So thank you everybody for tuning in. So next week we'll have Sonia Radovinovich, and you see how that just rolls off my tongue, Sonia. So it took me a long time to crack it, but I got it down. And she'll be on the show updating us all about IAHSP Europe's upcoming activities and all the things they've been working on, because we don't always know exactly what's happening. You see the fruit on the tree once something gets announced, but there's constant work being done. And I want to have Paloma back on to talk about marketing. We didn't get to touch on that, but she is truly a marketing guru. The stuff that you put out, the marketing pieces and so forth, are very well done, classy, on trend as far as colors and who you're targeting as far as the demographics, the looks and so forth. And, I think everybbe could use some new information on marketing and how
I have been learning from one of the best. So you're the marketing guru, not me.
But I love this what you put out, and even when is your statistical book coming out? That's the next one.
That'll be only in October, unfortunately. Okay. So there's still some time to go, but I'll be happy to jump in another time and really share what we've done with the last year one. And there's lots of things that I can share.
I think one of the things you're really good at is the brand, the look of the brand and the consistency of the brand. And I've certainly, I have learned from that, because you can't just be like put anything out and different fonts and colors and so forth. And that was okay, a decade ago, but I feel like people have gotten more sophisticated. And so I would love to do a segment on
absolutely
branding,
brand image and consistency. At the end of the day, everything is about consistency, right?
Yep. Perfect.
No, I would love that. Just tell me when and I'll be here.
Okay, perfect. Well, good. Well, thanks so much for being on. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
In May, and I'm going to be there, and John will be there unless they lock everything down again. But we're very
don't even talk about that. No, you'll be here.
All signs are pointing to it's going to be a good time to travel, and we're going to have a fabulous time. So I'm excited to see everybody. So
can't wait. Thanks so much, Jenny. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.